Hey you all, it's Aisha here, and this video is brought to you by Mavio. The topic that today we're going to cover is your DICOM and NFITs handling basically your CNN architectures. Let's see how do we look at that. Basically your medical image formats and deep learning from storage protocols to your visual intelligence. A chest x-ray is not a selfie, so it comes with a clinical responsibility. Your metadata is a legal document. Losing a patient ID or radiation dose isn't just a bug. It's a safety risk. Your high dynamic range are like 6-bit grayscales versus your 8-bit for your JPEG for the picture. Then you have your spatial context, that is pixel spacing, your slice thickness, and your orientation in 3D space. Comes with an analogy. A photo is an envelope. A medical image is a sealed legal document. So you're supposed to take care of it just like that. You have high contrast here, you have low contrast images, you have optimum contrast images as well. We come to the DICOM, the universal standard. What is a DICOM? Your digital imaging and communications in medicine. Solve the vendor lock-in problem, allowing different machines like your CTs, your MRIs to talk to storage service, and your PACs. It is both a file format and a protocol. A file format is basically your .dcm stores pixels and your data. A protocol is basically how devices communicate. What's inside a .dcm file? The header and the pixel data. What is the header? The tags basically. Hundreds of standardized key value pairs defining the patient and the machine. You have different kind of tags, and those tags contains different meanings. For example, your 01020 comes with the patient ID. Your 000A 0060 is the modality, and so on for the pixel spacing as well as the orientation matrix. Your pixel data, a 2D array of your intensity values, typically stored as 16-bit integers. Okay, it is stored as intensity, not color. It must be scaled to Hounsfield units. Okay, then comes your HU scale and windowing. The HU intensity scale is basically your bone, your soft tissues, your water, fat, as well as air. This comes with different HU points. Why windowing? The eye can see all the 4,000 levels at once. We choose a center level and width to highlight the tissues. Okay, you cannot see tons of things at a time. So for your lung window, you have these specific values. For your bone window, you have these. And for your brain window, you have these. So the machine learning tip right here is basically always apply the correct clinical window before training your model. Then comes your NIFTI, the research standard. Whole volume, one file. Created for basically your neuroimaging research, packages a full 3D, 4D volume into a single file that you can use. Your NIFTI key advantages are your computational simplicity comes here, one file versus your 500 or 5 lakh files or something like that. You store the 4x4 affine matrix for spatial transforms. Then comes your standard for the MRI research and your ML pipelines. Then implicit de-identification like no patient ID tags. Then comes your practical Python pipeline that you're going to use. First of all, you stack the libraries, then you do the pre-processing over it, and the pro tip you have is basically stored pixels are raw. Okay, let's just get into it one by one. Your library stacking, you're going to add these libraries before you move on. You're going to do the pre-processing, you're going to load an HU conversion, you're going to do the window application, you're going to do the resizing and your normalization as well. The pro tip that we have here is that stored pixels are raw. So check your DS rescale slope and DS other things to get the real Hounsfield units. Okay, this is the kind of code we're gonna look into on the hands-on later on. From images to the architectures, the problem is vanishing gradients. As network gets deeper, more layers, the error signal vanishes before reaching early layers. So imagine a whispered message through a chain of 100 people. By the time it reaches the end, the original signal is lost. So this is literally the same thing. Your ResNet, your densenet, and efficient net solve this in distinct ways. Your ResNets, your residual learning basically. So it's published HE in 2015, Microsoft, the skip connection. Instead of learning a full map, the block learns the residual difference and adds the original input back. So it just doesn't go with the whole thing. It just learns where it's missing and just puts the input right there. Why it works? Because the gradient flow directly through the identity shortcut, preventing the network from getting worse as it gets deeper. Then you have your densenet, your feature views, all-to-all connectivity basically. Every layer receives feature maps from all preceding layers, right, as an input. So instead of adding ResNet, it concatenates. Your feature reuse is basically your early feature edges stay available to the very last layer. So fewer parameters layer can be narrow because they don't need to lead information. Then comes your TextNet that uses densenet 1-to-1 to outperform radiologist in pneumonia detection. Then goes your efficient net, your compound scaling basically. Google Brain 2019 asked, what should we scale up? You have depth, you have more layers, you have width, you have more filters, resolution is like larger inputs. So efficient net scales all three using a compound coefficient. Achieves RES net 50 accuracy with the 5 times fewer parameters. You have different things going on there. Then you have architectural comparison. You have different features here. You have core idea, you have connectivity, you have data size, and best for. RES is basically that is going to skip connections. Your dense net, dense connectivity, your efficient net is basically compound scaling. If we talk about the connectivity of these three, for your RES net, it's additive shortcuts. For your dense net, it's concatenated shortcuts. And for your efficient net, it's standard plus MB. And then we go to the data size. We have large data sets for the RESNet. We have small data set for the DenseNet. We have any very efficient kind of data sets for the efficient net. And best for RESNet is best for stable baseline. DenseNet is best for data scarcity. And efficient.net is best for the edge mobile deployment. Then you have the ImageNet shortcut. Transfer learning medical data is scarce, okay? Instead of training from scratch, we use models which are pre-trained on 1.2 million natural images, right? So the first layer is basically detect universal features like edges and curves. The last layers are fine-tuned for clinical tasks, tumor versus the healthy. So a filter that detects a dog's ear also detects a lung nodules edge. Okay, we have a clinical pipeline that we're going to follow. First acquire, okay, then scale it, then apply a window, then augment it, and then inference and validate that. We are going to look on to the hands-on for that. I'm just going to show you the codes and going to show you them running so that you guys get it. I mean, by now, all these commands that we're giving it are pretty simple. We're using the torch for the visuality. You know it by now. We're going to do the pre-processing. This is your pre-processing functions that we're doing. We're telling it that stimulates how a radiologist windows an image to see specific tissues. We gave it different specific numbers to go on. We pre-process for model. We convert a raw NumPy array into a torch tensor ready for a CNN. Then we convert to tensor and normalize as per I told you using your ImageNet stats, and then we transport because PIL torch expects, Then you do the model setup right here. Basically, your transfer learning, and then you return the model, you mock the data generator for demonstration, and then your execution pipeline comes here. So you load it, and then you apply the window, you prepare it for the CNN, you run the inference, and you got it. This is all downloaded. And for your visualization, you plot the figures, you get a graph for it, you get a picture for it. This is your raw HU data, and this is your windowed and processed data. This model prediction is probabilities are these, okay? These are the two probabilities that we're looking at. This is your raw HU data, and this is your windowed and processed data. So putting up a right window is the key to it, and we learned about it. So yeah, these are the hands-on for it, and I guess you guys will be able to do it by now, and just apply it, just practice it, and you'll be good to go, and you'll realize that how you use your DICOMs and NIfTs handling for your CNN architectures. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.